Welcome to AORUS HQ, where we talk about the latest in hardware, esports, and gaming. I'm your host Gideon, and this episode is powered by the new AORUS GTX 1616 Ti. This week we're asking the question, do Battle Royale games have staying power? To help me answer that are Scott and Mike. Welcome to the show. So, Scott, what do you think? Apex has been out for over just a month, has already gotten 50 million unique players. What is it about Apex that makes it a success from a game design perspective? And what impact has it had on the genre?
I think Apex most of all proves that Battle Royale games do have staying power. It was able to take the best of PUBG, Fortnite, and all those other smaller ones, mix together, and then innovate on it further, right? By creating the squad-only gameplay and building around that with the ping system, or the jump master, or respawns. You're just able to see what this genre can do.
What do you think, Mike? Do you agree with him?
As we all know, they're very entertaining to play and watch these battle royales, but it's a relatively younger genre, so they still have a lot to prove to keep us interested and worth playing and buying.
I don't know, I think very entertaining is kind of an understatement. When it's the top of Twitch all the time, and the biggest streamers in the world now are all battle royale players, Ninja's world famous. How can you say it still has something to prove? It's proven. It's here to stay.
It's only 2 years old for, say, PUBG, and just under 2 years for Fortnite. So, and Apex has only been out maybe a month or so. So it's doing well, but some of the most staying power, tried and true esports are those who've been around for years, maybe even decades. If you look at the likes of say Brood War.
So Mike makes a good point where it's definitely made a splash in the culture in the short amount of time. But you're talking about streamers. Is it necessarily the streamers themselves or the games? It's hard to know, right? Which one is it? Ninja's jumping around from game to game, so is it necessarily the games themselves or the streamers?
I think you could say it's both. It's a little of both, right? It takes a really good game for people to even be interested, and it takes an entertaining streamer for people to keep watching it, right? Yeah. I think what we've also seen is with every new game, there's some new streamer who will be the breakout star because they're just so good or so entertaining. Right. There's the player Dizzy, right? He just dominates everyone, and now is probably the biggest streamer in Apex.
Right. Could you talk a bit more about the battle royale from a game design perspective, maybe what limitations it may have? I mean, in terms of being able to hold successful tournaments.
Yeah, I think they've struggled a bit with trying to find a consistent format.
I think ultimately battle royales need to iron out a couple things for their tournament formats, because there's not a lot of continuity between each game. Each game does their tournaments and esports a little bit different. Whereas you look at these other genres like MOBAs, RTSs, fighting games, there's a very straightforward style for how they host their tournaments, host their competitive play that lends itself to building these storylines and rivalries that a lot of esports fans want to have.
See, but I do think battle royales are fine when it comes to those storylines, right? Because it's the streamer-built game. There are a huge amount of fans for each of these streamers. Then those fans will watch them compete in these tournaments,
right?
And they'll probably be streamer-on-streamer rivalries, right? And especially as they start joining actual teams, competing, I think it will eventually, find its footing and just thrive as a genre.
It does require, one to get to that last, 20 players of each match. That's where everyone wants to watch. So in a game like PUBG, where it might take 20 or 30 minutes to even get there, that's a lot of dead space, dead time. So it doesn't make the tournament structure exciting. That's why at AORUS we pioneered the CQB mode to kind of speed up gameplay and make it more entertaining and more competitive.
Yeah, that feast or famine in BRs can sometimes be a detriment, because you'll have these people camping in houses, or you have people just going hot into these really highly contested zones, which means you get lots of entertainment sometimes and you get a lot of quietness in other moments.
Yeah, I know Scott doesn't mind because he's a camper, so.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about how the genre is new and it's made a splash. What does, the next 6 months to a year look like for battle royales, Mike?
They're in a good position, but like I said, their main challenge is to continue to innovate. It's going to take more than just new skins, new dances, new guns to keep people wanting to play, wanting to pay for these games. You know, we could be playing something different in 6 months now.
Right. But I mean, you've been playing a lot of Apex,
Yeah,
right?
I
So
have.
like, what's been bringing you back?
It's a breath of fresh air for me, Apex. It takes, like Scott said, some of the good things of the genre and kind of combines it into just one game. So I'm mainly coming back because of its new refresher feel.
Okay. Scott, what do you think?
I think these companies like Epic and EA and Respawn, right? They're making a lot of money off these battle royales, and I think they've shown they're willing to spend that money into these esports scenes. And I think as long as they do that, continue to do that, we'll see streamers doing well. We'll see people continue to watch, and we'll see just I think battle royales will be maybe even the biggest esport.
Well, let's not forget that the World Cup's happening this year too, right? So
Right?
I
Yeah.
guess-
Fortnite World Cup.
I guess we're all going to be watching.
Yeah. But how long are we going to be asking where are we dropping before we start asking why are we dropping?
Speaking of dropping and frames dropping, that's definitely something you don't want to be doing when you're playing your favorite Battle Royale game. So, if you're out shopping, you should be looking for the AORUS GTX 1660 Ti. It's able to deliver 120 frames per second at 1080p on the likes of Apex Legends, Fortnite, and PUBG. So, on that note, that's a wrap for this week in AORUS HQ. Let us know what you think about it in the comments below. Next week, I'll be on the road at PAX East in Boston. So until next time, see you guys.